Today we're going to be taking a look at a Marshall JCM 900. It's one of the older models. The customer brought in complaining of some microphonic issues and some other things. It had been taken to a local music store for service and then was referred to me because it had been modded. So kind of curious to see what we find out here. I've checked the fuses, make sure it has all the original fuses in it before you can fire it up. I'm going to current limit it. Fire this little guy up and see what we've got, and then we'll crack it open. Okay, we've opened her up. We're on the bench. We found a few odd things. First of all, we have quite a bit of preamp hum. Second, it has been modified. We're going to disconnect the power here and let it drain off. We've been modified to run 6L6s instead of the EL34s, which they are biased about 15 milliamps per tube too hot. I could actually get an inkling from that with the color of the paint on them when I first looked at the amp. It's also been modified right here. They've changed this resistor to bring our bias voltage range within the 6L6s. I'm kind of curious to see what kind of range they have. A couple other little things I'm going to do while I'm here. These supply AC voltage to the bias. I've seen these fail a lot in 900s. Take out a set of tubes. We're going to replace it while we're in this board because we have to be there anyway, and it's a safety thing. I always like to change these to a 600 volt capacitor instead of the 250. And here's another thing I've run into in 900s. These two resistors right here are actually in the circuit in the wrong place. If we go over here and consult the schematic, we can see that this resistor and this resistor are in series going to this tube. So basically what's happening is our bias voltage and our signal rides on this, so there's twice as much resistance between this tube and this one. So this tube is actually getting slapped a little bit harder with signal. It took me a while to figure out when these 900s first come out years ago why one customer with a 50 watt kept bringing his in to have it tubed regularly, and I would notice that one tube had been running hotter than the other one. And I finally figured out what it was the circuit was laid out wrong, and one tube was getting driven harder than the other. So that's one thing. Let's go back over here. Now, the real interesting thing that I ran into here was our power transformer had been changed. So I saved the best for last. Gotta love it when you use wire nuts. Somebody, for some reason, clipped the leads, perfectly good length leads, off and tied them onto the original leads. Now, originally I thought it might be to save from soldering. They soldered them all together before they put the wire nuts on. So, go figure. Never really know what these guys are thinking. I found over the years it's hard enough to repair the amplifiers, more or less second guess their thought process. So we're going to get on with this, let's clean this up. I'm going to try to do something cool with these leads and see if we can get this amplifier back up and running right. We're all finished up. All we have to do at this point is bolt it back up in the cabinet and it'll be ready to go. The amp has been play tested, everything's good. Our little correction here for the swamp resistors for the output tubes has been taken care of. They've actually been mounted on the tube sockets where they should be. I've replaced these capacitor that tends to cause a problem. This resistor has been changed to get our bias in the right area. Everything else has been checked out. The hum in the front end turned out to be a couple Russian preamp tubes and a little bit of lead dressing. Took care of the rest of it. We were picking up some hum from our filament leads. So there we are. New set of output tubes, a couple preamp tubes, some wiring. This is all cleaned up. I actually got into my stash of spare wire. Luckily, I had just replaced fairly recently another classic tone transformer for a customer, and I had some spare leads left, so I was able to use those to actually wire this up and make it look a whole lot better. These need to go in the rightful place, which will be in the trash. They have no business in an amplifier. So here we go. We'll let the customer decide to see what he thinks. I think he's going to be pretty happy. So later.